Hello, everyone. I'm Emily Gibson, co-founder of ATX TV, and this is Laura Kincaid, our Director of Operations. Laura, we're a little over halfway through season 10. How are you feeling?
Honestly, not as tired as I thought I would be. How are you?
I mean, I'm not going to lie. We've really packed in as much programming as possible. However, each time I feel an energy drop, you want to know what I do?
Do I? Of course I do, and I already know, but I'm going to tell everybody.
What is it?
Song and dance break.
You got it. Even though we're not requiring any musical numbers in this next panel, though they are encouraged, I may have a Central Park playlist that I put on between programming that features all of these panelists. I also might be humming Weirdos Make Great Superheroes to myself right now.
Are you going to sing the rest? Maybe as the rest of the intro?
Definitely not in front of this group. I don't want to scare anyone away.
Oh, okay, that's fine. I get it. Luckily, even without a singing intro, we are more than excited to have the team behind Central Park joining us. We've been obsessed with this show from the very first time we heard about it, and we are so grateful to Apple TV Plus for making this happen.
Yes, we are. Now let's bring out co-creator Lauren Bouchard, who will be leading this discussion. Lauren. Hi, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
We're going to get out of your way and let you take it away.
All right, I'll give it a shot. My first time doing an ATX panel, but I'm very much looking forward to it. I get to talk about this show, which I love, Central Park. I get to talk about animation, and I get to do it with some of the folks who make the show. Let me bring them in. I do it one at a time, and this is in no order, not an order of preference or specialness. I'm just going to call out a name, and the video will magically turn on. Can I?
No. Do it in order of. Definitely do it in order of specialness and preference. Don't shy away from that. Don't shy away from that. Do it in order, like make a public declaration of specialness. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to do it. I don't want to do it, but I'm going to do it.
That was a really good idea, Leslie. I think that was just a good idea. Okay.
I think Oscar nominees should be first.
Oh,
I think Tony nominees who didn't actually win should be first. Hey guys, Josh Gad here. So excited to be here.
I didn't know any of your credits, so I can't bring you in that order.
It's an honor to win a 2019 Kids Screen Award. First, I just want to thank my mommy.
This is the Palm Springs International Film Award that I won for a little movie called One Night in Miami. I'm just gonna leave this.
Woo! So big it doesn't fit in the shot. Please welcome Titus Burgess. He is Cole on Central Park.
Hello, I have no awards.
Yeah. Please welcome Josh Gad. He's a co-creator. He plays Birdie on the television program Central Park.
I have 2 Kids' Choice Awards, but I can't prove that right now because I'm in Australia and I don't bring my awards with me, unlike Leslie.
I thought maybe you had 2 kids. I thought maybe you were going to be that kind of dad and say, well, I've got 2 kids. No awards for 2 children.
Nope.
Not you.
2 beautiful kids, one not so attractive. Stephen Davis, a writer on Central Park, a writer on Bob's Burgers, a man in his own right. Stephen Davis, everybody.
Speech. Good to see you guys.
Kelvin Yu, his writing partner, his good friend, my good friend, writer, showrunner at Central Park this season, along with Stephen, and a part of Bob's that we could never replace.
I'm the only friend on the panel. Thank you for that. Appreciate that.
We're here to celebrate the show and talk about it, and we get to be really nerdy. This is a television nerd festival, is my understanding. We get to be deep into process if we want. There's no amount of writers' room gossip or behind the scenes information that won't be welcome on this panel. But
Leslie screams a lot, Lauren. Leslie in recording screams a lot, and is abusive to me. Oh, sorry, go on.
That's correct. We have to put a limiter on the track. But I will say, in the spirit of just celebrating the 2nd season and talking it up, we are premiering on June 25th, the 2nd season. It's going to be, I believe, 3 episodes will air that night, it's, you know, it's a Friday night, you get to watch 3 in a row if you want, and then it's 1 a week after that for another 7 weeks. That's the first chunk of season 2. That's official. And then later in the year, they bring in the second chunk of season 2. And we are in production on our 3rd season. Not here with us today, but also in the cast, I should say, Emmy Raver Lampman as Molly, Catherine Hahn as Paige, Stanley Tucci as Bitsy, David Diggs as Helen. This is an incredible cast, obviously. We're really, really, we're really lucky to have this caliber of cast. It's obviously those are funny people, and that's great because we make a comedy. But I want to kick things off and talk about the music because it is a musical. It's a real musical, and you guys know what that means. You know more than I. I never would have agreed to do this if I knew how much work was involved. It's an enormous undertaking. It's really a big deal. Josh, let me start with you. Tell us a little bit, I guess, for those that don't know. Why don't we do one of those? For those that don't know, Central Park is about a family that lives in Central Park. Owen, the dad, is the manager of Central Park. We created the idea that he and his family, by virtue of taking the job, will live in the park. And then we introduced, while we were developing the idea, we introduced the idea of danger. This hotel heiress who lives at the southern end of the park wants to buy the park and develop it as real estate. And this is the central conflict of the show, along with, of course, just raising a family and trying to be a good person. So Josh, kick things off. Tell us a little bit why Central Park. Why did we set it there? And then I guess speak to, if you will, also why a musical. What is it you think that we get from making it a full-blown musical?
Well, Central Park, has always to me been the great equalizer in New York City. It doesn't matter if you're the wealthiest person or the poorest person. When you're in that park, you're equals. And I always thought that was so fascinating because one of my first memories of moving to New York to try my hand at theater was feeling really down and in the dumps. I had gotten like my 8th rejection. And I walked through the park, and literally, as I think I've told you the story. As I walked through the threshold of stepping into the park, it started snowing, and there was something just magical about that, and something so calming about it. And it made me feel like, okay, things are going to be okay. Things are going to be all right. And Leslie and I went to college together, and afterwards, you're just sort of thrown out into the world, and you're scared, and you're like, what's going to happen? I'm alone now. There's nothing to fall back on, and so that really spoke to me. In terms of the musicality, I think the 3 performers you have on this right now, Titus, myself, and Leslie, have kind of made our bread and butter to begin with doing musicals. And the joy that I get from an experience that is a musical is there is something that almost lifts you up in the air and makes you soar. It makes you almost feel like it is speaking to you in a way that is emotional, that is different than dialogue, that is different than you can do with just talking heads. It's something that you just feel in your bones. And I've always been obsessed with musicals in general. I've always been obsessed with the folks on this Zoom, whether it's the brilliant work on Bob's Burgers or the seeing Leslie in college and seeing Titus on stage. I wanted to bring all of those elements together. Titus is not happy with the way I'm speaking about it. Really,
you had your
really
shot,
angry.
and apparently you dropped the ball there.
Blew it. So I wanted to do something that was that spoke to that passion. And I said to you originally, if we're gonna do it, we got to do it all the way. And you were like, yeah, we'll do a song an episode. It's great. And I said, no, we got to do 4 songs. And here we are. And we now live with the consequences. And I apologize.
What's the Leslie? Let me throw to you. I think there's you can tell us a little bit about how you approach music in general, and then maybe contrast it if there is a contrast with how you approach singing as Owen on an animated show.
Mm. I kind of just tried to. I grew up listening to all different kinds of music, and through imitation, I heard somebody really smart say, might have been Titus Burgess. I heard somebody really smart say, through imitation comes innovation. So, it's like as a little kid, I just wanted to sound like everybody that I heard. So anyway. The thing that I love about Central Park is the same thing I love about, a score like Hamilton. And don't get a huge head, Gad. I'm not saying, that they're the same, but I love the same thing in that I get to do all these different styles of music as a singer. And so I really just try to crawl in the song and give a vocal that's inspired by everything the songwriter intends. So on this show, I get to do a little rock, a little R&B, a little hip hop, some yacht rock, obviously just the straight up Broadway stuff, some jazz. I mean, it's really fun. And music, I think, music just makes everything better. Not unlike dance. That's the thing about this uniquely American art form. When you think about musical theater, in the way we think about it, and the way the show is inspired by, it's just all the elements are made better, in the sort of, I'm not making sense anymore. Now it's just.
Yeah, you are. No, I love it. I think about that a lot. I think
Titus, why didn't you shut off your camera when Leslie was talking?
Because
Now I'm offended.
no,
That's a great question.
You put all these clear eyes on it. The pollen around my house is out of control, so I didn't want to. Sorry, that's why.
We'll get Apple to work on that. I love what you're saying, Leslie. I mean, I think there's a way in which music, a song and dance in the musical, is a way of expressing joy that would be corny in any other. You can't do it. You can't express joy in dialogue or with, and for us as animators, if we drew big goofy grins on the characters' faces, it wouldn't be interesting. It wouldn't be fun to watch. It would just be schmaltzy and like a bad kids show. But when a character can sing, and it really, obviously nice if it's a good song, and nice if the dancing is executed well, but that's what we aspire to do. When it hits, it feels like it expresses joy in the most honest way without being corny or without being like you're bringing the audience to where the character is at. It seems like there's no other way to do that as effectively. It's rocket fuel when it works. So I guess my question to you is, Leslie and folks at your level, the amount of training and natural talent and everything's come together, you can elevate music. You can take a song that's just okay and make it extraordinary. And so I guess I would ask the same question for you that I asked Leslie, but I'm curious, you have to play a child. Do you approach the music on Central Park? Do you have anything to share with us? I'd love to know what your process is when you come to either to music in general or to music on the show.
Okay, very good. I feel very much stuck in my adolescence, so it's quite easy for me to tap into the youthful side, and it's very cathartic to play an 11-year-old because the world that we live in often kind of, it's a Mean Girls kind of situation, and I feel like Cole is always trying to find his footing, and that's the way that I feel oftentimes, especially in this last. As far as the music is concerned, it's so sophisticated, so I don't approach it like a child. Like it's very sophisticated ear candy. You guys are great writers. And actually, it's quite hard. I remember the Rufus Wainwright. Is that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
I was like, oh my God. Well, first of all, I'm obsessed with him. But I was reading this piece, I was like, Jesus Christ, all the chromaticism and such. So, you guys really put in your work, and it's lovely to know that you're going to go to work and you just have to say the words and sing what's on the page, and it's going to be great. I've only had 2 jobs like that. This is the second one.
That's nice of you to say, but it really wouldn't be. I mean, you know, we only are ever going to be as good as you guys. That's a good segue to the guest songwriters coming up. We had an incredible run in season 1 of guest songwriters. Against all odds, your plan worked, Josh, and we got good guest songwriters. And then this list for season 2 is equally incredible. Tank and the Bangas, who I love. Regina Spektor, also love. Ingrid Michaelson coming back, Ingrid Michaelson for this song that I've heard that the world hasn't heard yet, which I love, is maybe one of the best songs we've done. Rufus Wainwright, as you mentioned, that song is incredible. They Might Be Giants as a song. Rafael Casal comes back and does the song. Don't Stop or We'll Die. They're a wonderful band. They're really terrific. Supercommuter, Shaggy, Michael Bublé, Yola, Big Boy, Danny Elfman, and Wyclef Jean. This is all in season 2. It's quite incredible. This enormous task has fallen to you two, Stephen and Kelvin. Why don't we bring you into this conversation? I find this
They're killing it. You left us in such good hands, Lauren. They are killing it. I'm love working with these guys.
So glad to hear that.
So
you should have told me that.
is the thing. It's incredibly easy, and nobody had told me that this was going to be just basically. Sometimes I don't even realize I'm doing anything. It's just happening, and then we don't really try. That's our magic sauce. Is we don't try. We don't think.
Chill guys.
We're just pretty chill guys.
Real chill.
Kelvin's this is the deepest sarcasm anyone's ever expressed. Kelvin and Stephen, heroes, real heroics here. And here's my question to you guys, and sorry, this is going to get deep and it'll just be impossible for you to be fun. What I wanted to ask you to kick things off, and then we can, I think, probably bat this one around a little bit, but I just keep thinking of animation. The longer we do it, for me, it feels more and more like, this is going to sound a little corny, but I'll just say it so no one thinks I'm funny. I'll just keep being really earnest guy on this. I think of it as a calling. I like animation as an escape. It's fine. I like animation as pretty colors, and there's something perfectly fine about that. But the more I do it, the more I think I want the work to actually do something and bring something to the world. And I think of Central Park as fulfilling that purpose, perhaps more directly than even anything we've done up until this point. It seems to take onto itself by virtue of the premise, the scope and scale of the music and the storytelling, and it feels like we're really swinging for the fences. And I guess, if you agree, and you don't have to, but if you do you want to speak to, either one of you can answer this if you dare. What do you think we're getting from Central Park? Not to blow smoke up our own tuchuses, but to just like explore for a second, dare to be boring. What do you think we're getting from Central Park? Either as the audience, or what are you getting from Central Park now that you've taken it on your shoulders?
I didn't realize it was animated. That's interesting. We
haven't been doing a lot of animation, Lauren. I don't know if we were supposed to tell you that. It's been a lot of live action.
There's a lot of time. Like Josh's acting has that effect on an audience. Like they're like, oh, he's like right there in their face. Is this?
That's right.
I don't know.
I can't tell.
This
the held frame.
Yeah. No, I like this question. I'm a grown man, but sometimes I judge what I do in life by my mother still. But I'm a big boy. But I appreciate her calls where she watches the show, and the same thing happened on Bob's, where she calls me after watching Central Park and she's like worried. She doesn't want things to go wrong for the family. Like if there's ever but to me, that means that we're writing stories where people are getting invested in them. And I feel like I'm writing for real humans. And then we're so lucky to have all these actors' voices coming out of these characters. And it just, that is the easy part of the job, right? That is the showing up to records right now is the easy part. That is a joy. So Kelvin was not being sarcastic there. That is nothing but just a privilege that we have to be working with all of you. Trying to think of the animation and the calling. Kelvin, do you have any sage wisdom with that? Do you have any Kelvin wisdom?
I will speak to a moment that I don't think we have ever shared with you, Lauren. So this will be the world premiere of a moment early on. Stephen and I, the very first day of Bob's Burgers ever, February 10th, 2010, we pitched an episode back to you where the son in Bob's Burgers goes to a karate class. It ended up being a capoeira class. And later on, a couple weeks later, we had this scene where Bob is supposed to fight this guy, named this Brazilian capoeira guy. And Stephen and I are sitting in our office. We talk about this every once in a while. And in the current pitch, Bob loses the fight. And you looked out the window and in a completely sincere way, you looked out your own window and we both heard you mutter to yourself, "There's got to be a way that Bob can beat this guy." And it was so invested, and it was so real. And at that moment, we both realized how seriously you take that character and your job as the creator of that character. It wasn't like, this is a goof and it's a bunch of lines on a page and these 2 dots for eyes and who cares and what if he farts and wouldn't that be funny. It was like, you really were like, you couldn't accept that he was going to lose this fight. There's got to be a way he can win this fight. And like, I think from that moment on, we both caught it. We talked about it later, and we talked about it every couple of months or years. I think our takeaway from that moment was how much it matters to you, finds its way sort of like, you know, absorbing into the material and finding its way into, and I dare say, and I love live action, everything, but I dare say that there's a timelessness to animation and a lot of animated pieces that will outlive a lot of what we think of as important in the moment live action pieces. And I think it's the people who take it that seriously. You know, you can feel the difference between a Pixar thing and something else, for instance. You know, like you can just feel, or hopefully the difference between Bob's Burgers episode and just something where, you know, where people thought of it not in that way.
Josh, why don't we talk about the villain? I think it's fair to say, without sort of scratching a scab effectively as it pertains to American politics, but we brought this show roughly together as wet clay before 2016, and then after the election we approached it differently and we understood the story differently, and we added a villain because we were you know, thinking about things differently, and it felt relevant to bring a villain in who was going to threaten the sort of moral center of the show. And I think it's really interesting for my own self. I love that character. We brought her in to be, you know, sort of on some level Trump-like, but she is also deeply three-dimensional. And then we brought in Helen, and you know, I think wanted to explore this other, you know, you want to cut to the villain and treat the villain as if they think they're the good guy. Right? Josh, speak to this. Let's talk Tucci.
No, it's 100% right. It's so incredible to see the family dynamic come together and just pop off the screen. And as dynamic as they are, it became incumbent that when we are spending time away from them, we better have characters who are equally worthy of investing in. Stanley and David as Bitsy and Helen, I think, have elevated those characters to a level that I just couldn't have even imagined in my wildest dreams. And I think the brilliance of what you said is it's because we love them. We don't just hate them. They're not, you know, they are really three-dimensional. Without giving away too much, there's an episode in season 2 that really, I think, humanizes Bitsy in a way we've never seen, that gives you an insight into her past. Actually, a couple of times that give us insight into her past and see why she is the way she is, with some daddy issues in store for the audience. And I think that what started off as us dealing with an existential crisis, developing all around us in real life, Lauren, as we were developing Central Park, found its way into our story in a way that feels so lived in and so compelling, and is such a great balance to play off of for Titus and Leslie and Catherine and Emmy, in having to deal with this looming threat, in having to deal with, these two villains who at the core want something that would take away not only their way of life in the Tillerman family, but a way of life for many New Yorkers and people who come to that city looking for this unbelievable respite from this concrete jungle.
Yeah, Leslie, you as Owen, I love you as this character. I love your take on him. I like, I've enjoyed thinking about him. It's really, I think it's really great to have this guy who loves plants, and he's basically trying to save the world. What's your take on Owen, the man?
I'm not going to deal with the saving the world piece, but I will deal with like what you're getting at. What I really am turned on by and excited by and gets me out of bed and has gotten me has been the thing that is really pushed me to persevere and hang on through the tough years and all that stuff in this business, is like the fact that I thought I had, if given the chance, I thought maybe I had something new to say or something to add, and we hear a lot these days about how representation matters. And we went through it even with the recasting on this show, and rethinking the way that you guys had it came together in the way that it did, in an organic, wonderful way at the beginning. And then the world kind of came into new consciousness, and you guys started asking yourselves new questions. And was there a way that you could be, I'll let you guys talk about that maybe, but you've found a way to honor the truth of somebody's experience on this planet, maybe a little bit more authentically. So anyway, that's what I'm trying to do with Owen. I'm trying to show up and honor a soul. It's a little animated soul, but he's representative, and I think that he matters. I think that him in that position, I can, I don't know, I can see the way my daughter lights up, at the recognition of daddy. And I can imagine what Owen, a character like that, would have meant, or what the Tillermans would have meant to me as a young person, so I'm just trying to show up and hold the space, hold the space as honestly and as fully as possible for my time,
Can I also add that I think that there is something that Leslie does as a performer that I've been very fortunate to have a front row seat since we were 18, which is power through vulnerability. And Owen is such a beautiful, vulnerable character, but he never gives up his power, and he never gives up his position. And it is just watching. And I said this to you, Leslie. It's like, watching your character in season 1 was such a joy, but watching your character in season 2 is like, it is this father figure that I lean into, and I'm like, I wish this guy was my dad. Like, it's just such a powerful figure, and the way that you bring that vulnerability to the role is just, it's spectacular. It's spectacular to listen to. It's spectacular to see how this family has become a family that I literally love watching over and over again, and having the need to watch these episodes over and over again in the process. I never get tired of what you guys do with your performances. Titus, you have this insane way of line deliveries that I just don't understand. Like, the way you perform a line and you turn a line that on the page you would never think of a line reading like that.
It's called range. It's called range.
I gotta study it. I want to do that one day.
Thanks.
You guys are brilliant.
Yeah, Titus's character. Cole is so he's kind of the opposite in a way. He's not vulnerable. Not really. He's so sure of himself in a lot of ways. I find it empowering. It's really like, oh, to be that kid in a way, but it's also a moment, right? When that age, I guess, is sort of the moment before self-consciousness or whatever.
Yeah.
You want to speak to that? You were talking about it earlier. You were in touch
Yeah.
with that side of yourself.
I mean, he's definitely self-assured until he's not, and we'll see in this season coming up. He has a very unfortunate experience at school, but I don't know. Being a kid, like kids don't think about things; they just do it, And I think part of my love for playing Cole is I get to pretend to be a badass a little bit, and I can just say what I want and do it as boldly and confidently as I want without having to be conscious of the repercussions as we all have as adults. But there's a certain excitement, I think, that comes along with his desire to be right, his desire to be all things fashionable, his desire to one up his sister. So it's fun to watch and it's fun to play.
That's nice. Kelvin and Stephen, let's talk about this upcoming season a little bit. Just not to hype it up, not to do that on this panel. That's not what this panel is about. This is a nerdy TV talk. But
I'm gonna hype it up, by the way. I'm gonna hype it up.
I want to.
So good.
It's a. Here's a guest cast. Let me just throw out guest cast. These are voices we get to hear. Tom Lennon, Yvette Nicole Brown, Ed Asner coming back, Aparna Nancherla, Patty Lupone, Catherine O'Hara. This is impossible. Is this all true? Javier
All
Munoz,
true.
Jennifer Lewis, Billy Porter, Ellie Kemper, all on this season?
Yes.
Yes, crazy.
All recorded over Zoom. We have had like the most incredible Zoom experience.
I just
during
listened
this
to the
pandemic.
Billy Porter song, and
Ooh.
it's so good.
It's
That
good.
Billy Porter song
Yeah.
is so good.
I don't know if it's in the second batch. We also have Javier Munoz and we have Dan Stevens. We have some heavy hitters coming in.
Yeah.
Kelvin, you did
What's
like a
the-
voice. You sing a line that goes, "If there's a bag of seeds."
That's right. That's right. Yeah,
Yes,
and there's
you
an
cast
above
yourself for
title
that one.
credit. I negotiated
way,
for
can
above
I-
title.
Can I just say that all of those were surreal, but hearing Catherine O'Hara sing a Danny Elfman song
Yeah.
might have
Amazing.
been like the highlight of
Yes.
the fact that they haven't worked together, I think, since Nightmare Before Christmas was goosebumps. Goosebumps.
That was, and I'm glad
What
the
else?
world can sing it or hear it, because it feels fake sometimes doing this from home and hearing her voice coming like through our headphones, just in like this room, or like as my kids like run around and going like, this is gonna turn into like the most incredible scene. And she's singing a Danny Elfman song, and it's happening, and it feels. I'm just excited for people to see it. There's my hype talk. Josh, was that okay hyping?
Yeah, you
It
kind of
was
like
a little weak. It was a
It
little
was weak.
Titus, can you give him a line reading?
Oh yeah.
Of course. Whatever.
you kind of regularly have to like trick your brain on this show to pretend like you're not talking to the person that you're talking to on the other line. Like you're talking to Patty Lupone or Catherine O'Hara, or to be honest, to anybody on this Zoom. Like if you grew up of our generation, you grew up listening to like Rent or Les Mis, like other people listen to like, Snoop Dogg or whatever. Like you just played those CDs over and over again. If there was a show that you could go to and like Ben Vereen was on this show singing 3 songs a week, or Colm Wilkinson was singing 3, like you would devour it. And so I sort of understand that all over the country, there's people that are salivating at the prospect of listening to somebody like Leslie or Titus or Josh sing a song by Alan Menken or by Fiona Apple or by Sarah Bareilles or by like.
That was me
yeah.
that was me and Zoobilee Zoo. Do you guys remember Zoobilee Zoo?
Oh my God.
Yo, Ben Vereen on Zoobilee Zoo.
Crazy. And Ben
Bonkers.
Vereen wants to do the show. Apparently, has reached out and would like to do, like, he's literally a walking god of
Yeah.
the stage and of Broadway and of television, film, and so, like, a lot of times Stephen and I are on these, because of the world we live in, are on these Zooms, and you just have to pretend like you're not talking to this person, and you're not about to Zoom with, we at one point I'd been going back and forth with Dolly Parton quite a bit to write a song, and
Oh
you
my
just had to pretend like that wasn't going to happen. Like, no, we're not. That's not real. That's not real at all. She didn't say she was interested, which she did. And you just have to, like, it's a little bit of a brain bender, this show, at times, but you just keep your head in the work.
Yeah. It's getting those, again, it's like, it makes it more sort of personal and sort of intimate when it involves singing, right? It's like you're asking a guest actor to come onto the show. Sure, that's fine, but we all know that this has been going on at least since The Simpsons, if not, longer, that to have an actor of some stature lend their voice to a show. But then when you ask them to sing, it's like asking them to kind of take their clothes off or something. It feels like, oh wow, this person's really giving us something special. It is sort of it's a little, like, humbling and odd.
I was on a recording session with Chris Jackson a few weeks ago, and I literally started to, like, get teary-eyed, because I'm like, I am working on a show in which Chris Jackson and Titus are doing a duet together that is one of 4 incredible songs in this single episode of TV. And it's like, it was the realization of, like, okay, everything we set out to do in doing a musical, and I said to Lauren, originally, I was like, if we're going to do it, we need people who actually sing. We need people who do this, who this is how they make their living. This is what they do. And listening to things like that, I'm just like, we did it. Like, this is the greatest gift ever, to just sit back and listen to titans of our industry get to play at home in a recording studio and make magic. And then I listened to the song, it was just like, this is beyond my wildest dreams.
I'll jump on that and also extend it to the songwriting. There's something, like, for me, like, as a screenwriter, I understand sort of the ABCs and the 1, 2, 3s of a story and of act structure and stuff. To, like, pitch out a song to a Regina Spektor or Ingrid Michaelson or anybody like that, and then to get back, like, an iPhone demo or sometimes a slightly higher quality, but the iPhone demos are somewhat like the best ones, because it's like you feel like you're just in the room with this incredible, and there's something crazy pure about the idea of the fact that Fiona Apple just sent us an iPhone demo, and you can hear her banging on her piano, and like, that's mind-boggling. Very, very, very. I don't understand how they go from nothing to a song. Like, I can understand the script and I can understand, performance, but the songs really, really break me. Like, it's crazy.
Can we also talk for a second about Samsel and Anderson, 2 of the most?
Yes.
I don't even know, like, the songs that those 2 ladies write for us. They are in-house composers, if you will. It is the one thing I said to Lauren when we started, is we need every episode to feel unique, and we don't want redundancy of sound. And they, from the very first episode where they gave us Central to My Heart and Own It, have just established a sound for the series that
I agree.
I still pinch myself about.
It's extraordinary.
Yeah. There's a season 2,
They're-
not a spoiler. There's a season 2 episode where there's just reprises of a lot of their songs. And it's just such a celebration of just their songwriting and their love of the show. And they provided so much of a voice to this show too. You hear them call a song back that they've done, and you just go like, oh, that's Central Park. It's what it is. And so they're gifted. And we love
yeah, they
it.
really are. It's really nice to celebrate the show. And I also love being, you know what I also would say, as much as we get to sort of come here and praise the people that we work with, I also love being an underdog. I love that there might be people out there who haven't found the show yet, and that we're hopefully maybe they'll see this, or they'll see a promo, or they will just luck into it. I have this sense of you do the work and the rest will solve itself. That you can't really force someone to watch a show, or even really market a show. And marketing has to happen, and it probably results in some eyeballs. But in the end, I feel like you have to just make the show, and then the universe takes care of the rest, and the audience will find it if that's what they needed. And so I guess I would say in closing, what is there? Do you guys feel you're able to evangelize? Are you able to say oh, you should check it out? Are you able to bring sort of the show to someone and say, oh yeah, check it out sometime? I find myself sometimes underselling it. I love that. I love having this like, well, it's a little thing, it's a little show. And then in a way to have it be more than that and surprise them is a great pleasure for me. I don't know if I'm being clear, but do you experience that?
I think you're doing great. And this is my first foray into animation. I've been a huge fan of animation for many years. And of all the shows that I love, the first and second seasons are like the worst ones. Of like it really takes a minute in animation. And so you have to be with a partner, thank goodness, like we have in Apple, you have to be somewhere where they're going to give you a chance to grow and to find yourself. So that's another great thing about the music is that, the music does that all on its own. You cut out those you call out those 4 numbers each week, and I can post those, and they get people to watch. They help me evangelize. And I know that the little things that we happened upon in season 1 are just things we happened upon. We're still getting to know each other. We're still figuring this thing out. And so, what I really have confidence in is like, if we're given the time, this show is it's only gonna get better as we get to know each other, as we find these characters, as we find our rhythm, as there's not pandemics throwing us into a, God willing, sort of knocking us off our balance. We're really going to, I think, deliver something special that'll stand the test of time.
I think one of the things that I love about this show is it reminds me of how much I love New York and how much I missed New York this last year. And so when I talk to people about the show, I always say, if you're looking for a way to remember what the city feels like, this is a good show to watch.
I can't think of a better ending. Oh, no,
I also I was gonna say what's funny is I am finding that I had to evangelize our show season 1, and something else is happening now where people are doing it for us. I got a random email from somebody who I've always adored, and it was kind of crazy. I'll name drop here, but Emilio Estevez, out of the blue, writes me and says, I am obsessed with Central Park. And I said, oh, thank you so much. And he goes, it makes me feel alive. It makes me feel good. It makes me feel like there's good in the world. And that for me was the greatest compliment ever, because what we set out to do is there's so much cynical content out there, and we set out to do something positive, something uplifting, something that celebrates, as Titus said, the beauty, the splendor, and the magic of New York. And I think we're doing just that. And I think word of mouth is a very powerful thing. And I hope that people spread the gospel and share the joy that we are trying to bring every week on Central Park.
Yeah, hope so too. Thank you.
I just made that up. I hope Emilio Estevez doesn't watch the ATX panel, because he's going to call me up.
It felt made up. I like it though. It's a good detail because you don't expect it. Yeah.
You don't expect it. It's a random enough name.
Thank you to the ATX Festival. Thank you to you all for joining, and mostly thanks to everyone who's watching the show or plans to watch the show. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.